Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. I'm your host Vikas Srivastava. As the world is moving towards green mobility, the role of e-bikes is going to be extremely critical. E-Motorad is one such e-bike manufacturer based out of Pune, which is working diligently for the last 2 years since its inception in helping India achieve its target for 2030. The company has already achieved sales of 50,000 units in the international market and plans to be the number one manufacturer of e-bikes in the country in FY24. To talk to us about the company's growth plans, the strategy, and the way ahead, we have with us the CEO of the company, Mr. Kunal Gupta, the Chief Marketing Officer, Mr. Aditya, and the Chief Business Officer, Mr. Sumedh Battewar. Welcome to BQ Prime. As we all have seen that the speed or the light at which you all have moved or the leapfrogged in the last 2 years, the kind of sales that you all have done in the international market, what is going to be the strategy going ahead? Whether you want to sustain the same thing or you want to exceed?
Okay. So financial year 24 must be for us. This is the first time we have, as a business, we have entered a tier 2, tier 3 segment. Till date, we were working on a very premium set of products in order to achieve the right set of quality, in order to achieve the right set of scale. So as a business, this year is about focusing deeper in the markets, in the domestic markets as a domestic business, going to the tier 2, tier 3 northeastern regions and establishing our business there. Apart from this, international markets has always been booming. So the more the economy flounders there, the more our business picks up, because this is not a product which is dependent on fuel. This is not a product which is dependent on external factors, and that's why it has been booming.
So what's going to be the strategy basically going ahead? How do you plan to take your, like we know that you have done much better sales in the international market compared to the domestic. So can you give me a breakup kind of thing, like, what's the sales like in international market in India in terms of sales and profitability?
So in India this year, we did a revenue of around 21 crores, which is approximately $3 million. In the international market, we did a revenue of 120 crores in this year, right? Primarily US, Europe is where we export the products. As a brand, we are present in 5 countries over the period of last 3 years. We are present in UAE, Japan, Nepal, Europe, and Australia. Apart from this, that is where our focus is right now. Next 2-3 years, we want to go deeper in those markets, establish our better brand presence, and of course do the same in India. In India, we currently are sitting at 120 plus stores. We'll scale this up to 600 stores in the next 2 years. These are multi-brand cycle stores where our products are being retailed at. And apart from this, Amazon brand store has been playing a very good role for us. We're the highest seller on Amazon, the highest rated product category, and that is what we intend to grow going forward.
Coming to you, Mr. Oza, which are the markets that you are planning to enter into now? Because I think you are already there in some 18 countries that you are exporting to. You started with 3, now 18 in 2 years. So what's the plan for say next 2 years, 3 years?
So very fortunate to have the opportunity to go ahead and launch so many markets. But frankly speaking, the current focus is not just to keep on expanding. Unlike other startups where focusing on one particular area and then growing from there is the key, for us it was very much feasible, and we knew heads on that we have a product that has a worldwide acceptability. So to enable ourselves to go out and achieve that worldwide acceptability, we thought we need to do certain things which can bring us positive cash flows, which can bring us bigger profitabilities. So we've kind of expanded at the pace that we could. But right now, the focus is to go deeper into the markets that we've already expanded into, to concentrate, build a market for India. Becoming one of the top players in the country in this segment, it is also a responsibility to build this market from here on. Having some really good competitors together, we come up as an ecosystem and then compete against the likes of China and make in India actually possible, not just for India but for the world. So
now that you are present in so many countries, especially if you look, US is very far off, even Europe. So in terms of logistics costs, in terms of supply chain, would you be looking at setting up new manufacturing units in these areas or localities to basically to cater to the local population?
I think the idea is we have worked very hard in last 3 years to enable our existing supply chain to compete against the global levels. to come up with the technology that can be acceptable at the global level. So I think now the time is to take out that juice and utilize this manufacturing capability. When you talk about international markets, maybe in the future in certain markets, we do see a possibility of opening assembly lines, but the manufacturing in India is going to be the core behind those assembly lines as well. The labor cost that we get is the best in the world currently, one of the best in the world at scale. If you talk about technology, EV is evolving super fast, and I think that is what we're going to utilize. But also moving forward, the idea is to make in India shine, and that can only happen when you have assembly units in certain places where needed, but utilize the manufacturing power of the country.
One is utilizing the manufacturing power, but how would you manage the logistics cost? Because if you have to supply from India to US, better to have a location or manufacturing unit nearby.
So frankly, even if you have a manufacturing anywhere in the world, the labor cost and the cost of goods is never going to be comparable to India. So my logistics cost is not the challenge. The challenge is the cost of the materials, cost of labor. And I think that is the phase where China was in early 1900s, right? They had all those advantages. Today we have it in our country, and we need to exercise it, make the best of the products. Maybe a lot of countries, if you'll see Germany, Canada, they keep offering us assembly plant unit. Also talk about investment into setting up those plants, giving us the opportunity. We would love to exercise those things, but at the same point in time, we never want to forget we are a company based out of India, and of course, do everything to build on top of it.
Okay, I'll come to you, Mr. Battewar. Before that, Kunal, what is going to be your business model like, or exactly what exactly your business model is like? Because we have seen that a lot of focus has been on unicorns. No, people didn't focus much on profitability, but on unicorns, and we have seen how they have floundered recently. So, what according to you is your business model? Because we have seen that you have focused more on profits now instead of focusing on becoming a unicorn.
I'm sure you're aware about my surname. It's Gupta. So I come from a Banya community who corely focuses on the profit, and that is what the idea with which we started this business. And we like to still call it a business, right? We started this for making profits. It was not for making valuations. It was not for just having the multiples in place, right? For the longest time, we've come in, invested our own money, and tried building this business. We totally believe that this is going to be a China plus one strategy, wherein the export business is corely profitable. That is the money that we want to plow in the country and make a brand out of it, right? That is how we have been able to sustain till date, and that is how we want to grow the business. So profitability is at its core. We need to bring in a lot more dollars from the foreign countries to India, and that is what we have been doing as a business model. So the whole larger idea set of pieces, we make profits in the international markets, bring that money in the country, and plow it to build a brand here. And over a period of time, this is a product which is bottom line profitable. It is not a product where we want to burn to sell the product, right? And that is how we want to play the game.
Mr. Battewar, you all started your operations in 2020. That was the period when India was going through COVID, or in fact, the world was going through a COVID phase. So, what really was your strategy, and how did you manage to sustain yourself in that period? And not just sustain, I think you all have succeeded in or overdone your plans. So, what really helped you achieve that success?
We started our business in most difficult time. The environments were very harsh. You're not supposed to operate the office. Plant was not functional. People were fearing to join you because you had the field jobs. So yes, there were a lot of challenges, and this was not anticipated by anyone. So this we take it to our strength, because operating in those time where you're trying to establish the channel, you're trying to establish the manufacturing plant, you're fighting against all the odds. Government offices are not functioning in the full strength to give you the necessity approvals to export, to import. Everything was going through phenomenal challenges. International supply chain was broken. The ocean freight was sky rocketing the prices, and still become profitable in that particular situation was very challenging. These are the things which were against us, but there were so many things which were with us. Like, that was the first time probably country or the world has understood the true value of your actual health, not the economical health. That helped us. We are fortunately one of the only commute option in the world present who can take care of your health and commute both. Recreational needs were soaring. People wanted to become fit. People wanted to get moving. So they understood the probability requirement of an electric cycle. So that was the time which helped us to establish. But yes, now when we go back and see the challenges what we faced 3 years back when we started the business versus today's challenges what we see, it looks very small challenges, because we were actually subjected to those kind of harsh environments in the first place.
And the other challenge at that time was also of commodity prices. So, what exactly is the main component for your manufacturing, and how did you manage to sustain the prices also? Because and now the so what had been the impact of that, and now that the prices have moderated, So what's going to be the impact of that in future?
So the most difficult time, as I was mentioning, was during the COVID times when the commodity prices were not under anyone's control. International ocean freights were very challenging. So that was the time which we had the suffered most. Profitability were very much challenged. The bottom line was challenged because a lot of prices were going skyrocketing. And as in unlike any electric cycle, our electric cycle also carries the battery. So yes, battery price is something which is very high. You can consider 30-35% of the total cost impact is coming from the battery, and rest of all the components we achieved through scale of economy. During the last 3 years, as you were appreciating, we have grown so much, so that has helped us to keep those prices under control. That helped us. Second thing, EV as a form factor was evolving in the country. If you see the adoptability of any form factor of three-wheeler mobility, two-wheeler mobility, or rather electric mobility, country has accepted very well. So the manufacturing technologies has also evolved, which is able to cut your overheads down. And third but not the least is the recent discovery of lithium in JNK. So that is boon to the EV industry. So I am anticipating the commodity prices, whatever the worst time has to come has already come. Now here onwards, I believe scale of economy, manufacturing technologies, and the lithium availability next to you is going to play a crucial factor for adoptability of EV at lower prices in the country.
The other thing is that now people are talking about different forms of batteries also, not just lithium ion battery, but also aluminum, sodium, sulfur. What? So would you all be looking at those kind of changes also in your batteries? And where are you sourcing your batteries from?
So right now the cells are coming from different parts of the world. It is being assembled in our own facility, and that is how we are doing it right now. But going forward, we are very open to having different sources of batteries. The world is evolving in terms of battery technologies, and this form factor, fortunately, is absolutely open to change, absolutely open to the size of battery, and that is what we want to do. We are very open to moving towards sodium, hydrogen, any sort of battery which is there. But I think it's still very far away. Lithium is there to sustain, is how we see it. At least for the next 5 to 7 years is something we stick to lithium ion.
And do you also plan to enter into two-wheeler EV scooter space? Because you already have had an experience.
See, we strongly believe that electric cycle is going to be the future of the world, and not only in India, right? Globally, it's a well accepted product. How we see today mopeds and motorbikes in the country, people drive electric cycles in the foreign world, right? There are multiple reasons behind it. First of all, it's a very economical product as compared to any other product. It is not dependent on your external infrastructure. These are the cycles in our country. You don't need cycling lanes separately for driving this, right? It runs at a speed of 25 kilometers so that you can use the main roads for it, and which solves a larger goal of the country. And you can't find a mobility product at 25,000 bucks, and that is what we're providing to the country. Yeah.
Okay, so which are the other economic, in terms of strategy, what is it going to be for, say, international community and also for India? Because I think here the affordability is one reason why you cannot basically launch in like luxury products like what you have launched in Spain, Japan, and other places. So if Mr. Oza, you can.
So I think the idea is to get the consumer the best price possible. Because if that happens, even in foreign countries, they would want this product at a better price, and that is achievable, like Sumedh said, on a scale we can possibly do that. But we know for a fact that this product has a lot more than price itself, right? You do not need a charging infra for this product. You can charge it just like a mobile phone and any socket. So that goes beyond tier ones. That goes to the tier 2, 3, and up us gaon. If you'll talk about that little village where the girl is going to her school or the farmer is going to farmland, they will never find charging infra in the next 5 years also. It's a tough challenge that the country is going to face. If you'll talk about service infrastructure, which nobody talks about today, tier ones are struggling to develop that. Again, go down to tier 2, tier 3, and further down, the any nook and corner of the country can repair a bicycle. Every electronic part for me, you can remove it and ship it across to us, we replace it. So it's all plug and play. So actually made the product not just for the economics of it, but also for the challenges that EV face.
So coming to the final outlook for the industry, how do you see it, Mr. Battewar, to start with you, how do you see the industry outlook, say next 2 years, 5 years time frame? And also given the India's target for 2030 that they want to replace all the vehicles with electric vehicles, how achievable is that target? And what role you think that e-bike companies like you can play into it?
I believe the target is very much optimistic, and all the companies are working towards it. Even we achieve 70-80% of it is going to be the best job in the world. The world today, with all the infrastructure, couldn't achieve 50-70% of it. If we are able to do it at 80%, that is also a great job to do. Electric cycles are going to be one of the key players who are going to help this particular target to achieve. There's a reason to it. If you see any of our electric cycle, the typical battery power what we use is 370 watt, and any scooter if you do, that scooter is somewhere around 3.5 kilowatt. So 10 electric cycles battery is equal to one electric scooter's battery. So we are able to move 10 people at a cost of one electric scooter. So if you're talking about climate change, or you're talking about an achieving a green target, electric cycles are going to be 10 times effective than any other form factor mobility. When it comes to adoptability in next 2 years, we have already started seeing it. As a form factor, India was having a challenge, which was price. The moment in the month of January we launched the X Factor range, which it took around 18 months for us to develop. Achieving a cost target was not an easy job. Upgrading the existing supply chain was difficult job. But the moment we could achieve it, today we are sitting at out of stock position. This is not something which has to be celebrated, but the kind of demand came from all the cities. And very proud to say, the cities like tier 2, tier 3, where I never imagined some people could buying it, or people I never thought they were already aware of the electric cycle as a form factor. If you see tier 1, all educated society, electric cycle is not actually something which they have seen it already. Actually, they have experienced it. No. But the moment you start saying logistic cost of a product is 12,000, can you imagine the kind of pin code we are serving today? I really feel proud. Yeah, the logistic guys comes and says, "Sir, there is an order, and logistic cost is working out somewhere around 14,000. The product cost is 15,000." I always approve this all transactions because people are accepting it from those cities today. So next 2 years,
So
I
you
believe
take that cost on your own books.
yes, today yes, because in next 6 months to 1 year, as Kunal was mentioning, we are going to scale our offline infrastructure. So that particular point of time, this is all something which will be taken care automatically. And service infrastructure, as Adi said, it's not a problem today at all. So I can serve any city, unlike there are restrictions on other form factors of mobility. So next 2 years, I'll be very optimistic and practical at the same time. I believe the electric cycles as a total industry will be very much comparable to electric two-wheeler as an industry by the volume. And if things works well, the anticipation and the calculations what we have worked at the back end works well, probably we could exceed them. So that is how big this industry is. So right
But
now, yeah.
So Mr. Oza, I think one challenge here is like if you compare it with scooters is that you can have a pillion rider in your scooters, but in bikes we can't have that. So that even if we compare that, we'll overtake them in terms of volumes, in terms of sales. But I think that is one challenge. Is it something that is workable, or is it something that we'll continue with individual?
I think we are coming ahead and developing products that can possibly compete against those products. But this product in particular, um, people keep saying EV is the future, and very well said. Of course, everyone knows it's a known fact now. In fact, what they do not understand is e-bike is going to be the at the top of the chart when it comes to across the globe. And I think for us today, building this product and taking it to higher level is one thing. We do not plan to replace the scooter in the household. We plan to say when you're riding alone, this could be a product. It gives you health benefit. It gives you a cleaner route to travel, commute. It is super cost effective. Comes 5 times lesser than a cost of a normal two-wheeler. I think a lot of people will understand and adopt it through that ideology. It also is a very sustainable product in all aspects. And again, not planning to replace the scooters of the world. We have our own segment and category, and that is going to have a very big, way brighter future is what we hope.
Just to add one thing to that particular use case, one thing we always see, the scooters market, basically what is an average age of a buyer. If you study last 5 year data, the average age turns out to be 26 or 27. That is an average age of a buyer who is buying an ICE engine vehicle. That is age of a buyer. That is the consider total average age of a person who is buying two-wheeler today. But your mobility need starts right from your 12. You need freedom to go to your school, you need your freedom to go to your hobby classes. So that essentially market is uncaptured by all high speed EV products altogether. There was a time where there was a competition to low speed electric scooter and electric cycle putting together, but with honorable Gadkari regulating this segment, This transport ministry has come up with very strict regulations, all the fire breakout incidents and everything. So now the low speed and high speed EV doesn't have a cost benefit. They are essentially coming at the same price. Now they are 3 times expensive than us. Now that is also getting fed away. So that teenage mobility to a person who is seeking an health benefit. So this target audience is becoming 3 times more. And anyone could understand today the kind of schools we have, the kind of population we have in that particular teenage is superb, and that should one should not underestimate that. So that is also going to help us in achieving that goal which we were talking about.
And last and final point from you. Uh, Even if we see, like you take tier 2, tier 3 cities, they are not very large cities, you know. So on a single charge, I think it can go up to 55 kilometers, 40 kilometers. So I think it covers the city twice. So that could also be an added benefit and advantage why people may move towards this kind of green mobility options. So what's your say on that, and how do you predict the future?
See, the average commute distance for the country today is 14 kilometers per day. You and me probably must be commuting 14 to 15 kilometers or to and fro, right? We give 3x capacity of that. So if you are using it for personal mobility, you'll still charge it once in 3 days, which is a great use case, right? You have to just plug out the battery and charge it at your home, which makes it easier. Coming to the points which my colleagues were saying, the total cost of ownership, how it works is the primary commute, your and mine primary commute was a cycle probably back in the days, right? It must be costing 5 to 8,000 bucks. Today, that same normal cycle has been costing 15 to 18,000 bucks. The second product was probably an Activa or a scooter or a motorbike, right? That was costing 45,000 bucks. Today, it is costing 1.1, 1.2 lakhs, right? The average income group of or the average income of the country hasn't increased so drastically, but the cost of commute has increased, right? And that is where we want to sit at the cusp of it. We solve for all primary and secondary mobility needs, and that is the market which we are trying to cater as a whole. And tier 3 understands the economy of scale much more better than the tier 1, because tier 1s might have their disposable income to spare, but tier 2 actually for them cost per kilometer actually matters, and that is how they have been growing.
So is there a plan where you can make it more affordable for say tier 3, tier 2 cities going ahead, or
yeah, we'll always want to achieve that has always been the goal, and it's not only going to be about the cost, it is going to be the quality also. We always want to increase the kind of quality that we want to give to the consumer, the security features, the safety features that comes along with the bike. So I think we've already achieved what is called as the most economical e-bike in the country, but let's see a year down the line if we are able to come up with something much more better.
And it's a request to all the states that these are also EV forms, and if subsidy applies to all the other EV forms, I think there should be something for this EV form factor as well.
Thank you very much for talking to us. It was pleasure talking to you all, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you.
For more news,